Hi, I'm Dr. D. Pasquale with the National Stem Cell Institute, and I'm here to talk to you about chronic regional pain syndrome. Chronic regional pain syndrome is a really significant condition that we see with many patients. It's difficult to describe, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a definition from a new study that I'm going to show you here in a sec, but it really is very eloquent in terms of how it describes it. It's very wordy, so I'll explain it once I'm done reading. CRPS usually develops after limb injury following immobilization. It presents with a disparate array of nociceptive, vascular, and autonomic changes that exceed the expected clinical course of the inciting injury in both magnitude and duration. So what does that really mean? Well, it means that even following a basic injury to an extremity, it could be a fracture of like the lower tibia in your leg or foot. It could be a fracture of your arm. Essentially what happens as a result is we get a extensive or a really large amount of pain that wouldn't be consistent with the typical injury that we see. And it's characterized also by vascular changes. Now, one of the things that many of the CRPS patients that we treat or that we see or that we consult with, essentially they don't really understand why it happens. And I don't think many of the medical community or many individuals in the medical community can truly explain why it does as well. If you do a simple Google search, it'll say that it's one of these idiopathic conditions with no known cause. Well, what I'll tell you is, with the types of treatments that we provide from a regenerative medicine standpoint, specifically stem cell therapy, we see pretty remarkable results in terms of reducing inflammation and pain in CRPS individuals. And now we know why that's the case. There are specific mechanisms by which stem cells can interact in the body with specific tissues as well as specific inflammatory mechanisms that help us to heal and regenerate tissue. And this kind of outlines why CRPS may develop. And what it says is that auto-inflammatory and autoimmune issues contribute to complex regional pain syndrome. This was published in 2008 in a journal called Molecular Pain. And what it outlines is that CRPS is an autoimmune or an immune dysregulatory issue that creates, an exaggerated pain pattern and also constriction of blood vessels and many of the autonomic or the involuntary nervous system issues that we see. So what it points to is that there's a mechanism, an autoimmune mechanism that contributes to CRPS. So this really explains why stem cell therapy can help, because stem cells regulate immune function or modulate the immune response in the body, and that can be very beneficial, not just for autoimmune conditions like we've talked about previously. And I detailed a paper in Frontiers in Immunology about how that process happens with stem cell infusions, but now we know that there is an autoimmune component to CRPS, and it makes sense as to why we can affect it in a positive way.